Well, why not make it 5 for the Philadelphia 76ers? Welcome to the PHLY Sixers pregame show live from the Xfinity mobile studio, along with Derek, Kyle. I'm Devon Bree, the president of basketball operations. She's got a lot of work to do, as we said. These trades going down. Bree is a little behind. Got to pick up on some trades here in Philadelphia. They're president of basketball ops. All of you, thanks for hanging out with us. We are presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. We'll get to our pregame picks a little bit later on in the show. We'll discuss these big trades that went down from last night that we got some word on, happened today. We'll get to all of those, the impact on the Philadelphia 76ers. And I'd imagine we'll talk about it a lot more tomorrow at 3 p.m. for our 3 p.m. show on Wednesday. No Embiid, no Curry tonight for the Sixers and Warriors, respectively.
Neither Curry, by the way. Both the Currys are
Yeah. The former Sixer hasn't been on the floor for a while for the Warriors. So we'll talk about them. Who else is out for the Golden State Warriors? It's more them than the Sixers tonight. But we do need to start, Derek, tonight with the opportunity for them to go back-to-back in the Curry absence there on the other side for the Golden State Warriors. While the Sixers did have to play into the fourth quarter with their group, they did get off the floor around the 4-minute mark, the starters, and saw some big minutes from Quentin Grimes, relatively okay minutes from Jared McCain and some of the others off the bench, but a chance for them against another shorthanded team in the Golden State Warriors for the Sixers to have extend their winning streak to 5 and just start off this road trip really well if they can get this one too.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't just a shorthanded team. This is a very, very, very shorthanded team. Like when you're talking about a team in the Warriors who already didn't have great depth to begin with, and you have neither Curry in the lineup, no Jimmy Butler, and no Jonathan Kuminga, they are going to be pressed to really put up a fight. Now, I say that knowing full well. I forget exactly what the saying was, but they could go up against the 14-15 Warriors or the 14-15 Sixers. It's going to be a close game no matter what.
Yeah.
This is trending more towards the 14-15 Sixers version of an opponent. They should have absolutely no problem handling this group, even without Joel Embiid. So I fully expect this to be a 5-point game with 5 minutes left.
Yeah, this is if everybody's healthy, these are teams within the same general tier of pretty good with high level stars, but their depth may be a bit lacking. In the current state that they're in, it is advantage Sixers by quite a bit. The back-to-back is really the only thing for me that complicates it. I believe Golden State's been off since Friday. They got pasted by Detroit in that one. And they are in desperation mode. We heard some reporting from, I believe, Anthony Slater today. Is he at ESPN now, I believe? Right? Yes. I was about to say The Athletic, and then I was like, no, that's not him anymore. So Anthony Slater had some reporting as of today that not only is Draymond Green potentially on the table in like a Giannis trade, but he's just on the block, period. And I saw some funny memes about that. Where have you guys ever seen the one that's like, who want me? And it's 100% have voted no. It was what I saw regarding the current version of Draymond Green. Now, that being said, they are still going to play Golden State Warriors basketball. It's a team that under Steve Kerr has committed to this identity for better or for worse, depending on who you ask. I think the fact that they've won so many titles probably says for the better, but they're going to move the ball. They're going to share the ball. They're going to get up a lot of threes. At least they're going to attempt to get up a lot of threes. A little more difficult when you don't have Steph out there bending defenses and opening up opportunities for other people. They tend to play a more high variance, high turnover style than the Sixers, who actually have been one of the better teams at taking care of the basketball this year, which, having lived through the Brett Brown era, I never thought I'd see the day when the Sixers were a protect the basketball type of team. It was a crazy period to live through. So, yeah, but look, you're going against a team that's going to start like Al Horford, Pods, Moses Moody, Spencer. It's like these are guys that you have better talent than and are just in a better run of form than they are. So I want to win tonight. I don't care about the back-to-back. I want to see a big Maxey game. I want to see a VJ bounce back. I want to see this team, as we keep saying, take care of business tonight against a team you should beat.
Right now, so Kyle, I said I'll wait until later. We'll do our picks later, but right now on Bet365, the Warriors are a 5-point favorite at home. 5-point favorite, not a 3, just because they're at home, you give them a little bit of that cushion. They're 5-point favorite right now against the 76ers. So that is intriguing. And look, we talked about hammering the point yesterday in pregame, getting ready for the Clippers who had to play at that game. They were blown out by the Phoenix Suns, but they blew out the Phoenix Suns. Sorry, but we pointed out how they're on the second night of a back-to-back, and short travel from Phoenix to LA, short travel from LA to Golden State for the Sixers, and they got that little bit of rest there in the end. But the same can hold true for this team, and here's why I'll bring it back to when the Sixers hosted the Golden State Warriors a few weeks ago. It took the Sixers to have a 32-point fourth quarter to beat this very team that you're talking about without Steph Curry. Jonathan Kuminga was coming off the bench. He had 9 points in that one. Draymond Green only played 9 minutes, if you guys remember that night. But it was Moody with 14. Low scoring game. It was more of like going back to the late 90s, and where it was 99-98 was the final score. Buddy Hield had 14. Quentin Post had some buckets off the bench. So enough to be annoying. Now, I don't think the Sixers are going to have 99 points tonight. I think they'll be able to put some points up on the board on this defense, as you pointed out. But I just wanted to remind for the folks that didn't remember how that first game played out in Philadelphia, that 99-98 one that they had to squeak it out with 32 points there by the Golden State Warriors in the fourth quarter. So, look, an opportunity to take advantage of this basketball team, as you pointed out, even with the rest. The Sixers have to feel good about what they did last night and hope that that's transferable to tonight. Oftentimes when you play as good as they did last night, the old adage, as you guys pointed out, I just want to keep playing. I can play another 4 quarters because of how things were just clicking for the basketball team last night. So for that's where I will look at it and say, you know what? They played so well last night, even with Joel Embiid off the floor, that I would expect for that to continue. And the defense that they played last night and double teaming Kawhi Leonard, forcing the ball out of his hands, the trapping style defense that they had, while they may not have to do that tonight, they should be able to play up on these guys, man up. Of course, trap whenever need be, because you're in a pretty good spot where you just read how things are playing out. I see an opportunity to double team and maybe force a turnover there. But defensively, with what they did last night, I am encouraged about what they can do against this team with no Kuminga, Green, or either Curry on this team, that I'm okay if I feel like I can have VJ Edgecombe man up on Podziemski and try to slow him down, or Maxey on Moody, who is more of right now a guy who is hitting some shots from behind the three-point line, not necessarily driving overall. I feel good about what they did last night, where I think that they're still able to hold up against this team without all those guys that we have named already.
You're not worried about Moses Moody, huh?
Moses Moody.
So, yeah, I think all that you said is true, Devon. Certainly, Derek believing and deep in his soul that this will be a 5-point game with 8 minutes left is how a lot of the people
I didn't realize
Bet
365 agreed with me so much. I wonder how much of that is a back-to-back, how much of that is being on the road, and how much of that is the Sixers.
Yeah, so I think
and no Embiid either.
So I was about to say, to me, the main thing is not even just that it's no Embiid. It's that you now have to rely on Drummond and Bona. And there was a period of the season early in the year where I wouldn't say you were excited to play those guys compared to having Joel, but you were at least like, okay, Andre's going to give us a chance. Adem is going to give us a chance. Andre had a stretch for probably like the first month and a half of the year where he was playing really good basketball. And I hope tonight, at the very least, he can help correct this rebounding problem that they've had for quite a while now. When I say quite a while, I mean most of the season. But he's been in a bad run of form. There's a reason that even with Adem being on the roller coaster, and that even that's being charitable, that Andre has rarely been able to get on the floor lately. It's because he hasn't, basically since December 1st, I can only remember a few good games from Andre. One at the Garden in New York where he knocks down a few threes was a critical one. but he has struggled in a lot of his minutes over the past couple months. It's not the only reason, but it would be part of the reason that his name has surfaced in some trade rumors, the salary and the hit the quack button if you got it, Derek, the tax ducking purposes. His name has been out there for sure. So they need a return to form for Andre tonight, because you got to get 48 minutes of center minutes. And if he can't give you a good chunk of that, at least half of that, you might end up having to rely on, hey, maybe Dominick Barlow as a small ball guy against a team that does want to play small, spread it out and play that way. I don't know. We'll see where it goes tonight. But to me, that's as big a story as no Joel is who has to step into those minutes and what kind of form they've been in recently.
I wonder with Drummond, too, because he hasn't been playing as well, so his minutes have been limited. Joel playing as much as he has, he just simply hasn't been able to get on the floor. And at that time, of course, when he was playing more consistently because Joel just wasn't available. And he was in a pretty good rhythm for what he was doing, including being knocked down Drummond from behind a three-point line with making those three-point shots. So tonight, he also hears his name in trade rumors. Whether he wants to stay or leave, he always says the right thing. He wants to stay here and be a part of this team. He sees something with this group. But an opportunity for him to go out there and just simply make his mark tonight, because this is the final game before the NBA trade deadline. With he and Bona out there, we'll see who gets to start tonight. But a chance for him to really go out there and do something, whether it's against Post or Al Horford at the 5. He should have the advantage on the glass cow, to your point, against either of those two. While Post is a tall guy, doesn't rebound it as well, where I would think Andre Drummond would be able to box him out and get his hands on that rebound before him. So advantage Drummond, but he has to play like the Drummond, to your point, that we saw earlier, where we were raving about his play and saying you got to keep this guy on the floor as the primary backup behind Joel Embiid.
Yeah, it's been a minute since we've seen that version of Drummond. I also I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Daryl's probably not going to determine his trade deadline plans based on what Andre Drummond shows him tonight, but I also am not going to deny the human element of that, and that players will naturally lock in a little bit more when they feel.
Yeah, I wasn't even worried about the front office. I was talking about the player.
No. Yeah, we'll see. Look, they're gonna have to step up, because none of them have been all that pleasant to watch of late.
Yeah.
Got to be a perimeter game, boys. That's what it comes down to.
So
the guys on the perimeter got to get it done.
Before we take our pause, though, let's talk about the Curry side of it, moving into the Embiid, no Curry piece of the conversation. We'll get to our read here shortly, but no Curry. How do you want to see them attack Spencer and Moody and Podziemski, those guys over there? Maxey, Edgecombe, of course. Grimes had a nice night last night. Some shots fell for Jared McCain. Has to feel pretty good. Going against this team, they should be able to put some points on the board.
Yeah, so I think the main thing with no Curry is he is a defense-bending player, and the Sixers in their scheme are already overhelpers, and with the way that they overhelp, if you overhelp and that ball is swinging around the perimeter, the ball will find Steph Curry eventually. And so I feel like unless you are trying to trap Steph, and it's a little bit harder to trap somebody playing off ball than when they're on ball, that causes some issues elsewhere. I think they should be able to get stops against this team. I don't know where the creative juice or creative force is coming from with this team, because even Draymond, like Draymond is having a tough year with Steph. He has not looked very good physically. Like he clearly seems to be a player who I don't want to say that he's cooked, but he's on the back stretch of his career. And his whole thing is playing out of the short roll, using Curry's gravity to play in 4-on-3s and then hit drop-offs, hit corner shooters, things like that. And without that partnership with Curry, it becomes a lot tougher for him. So the one thing they do have to combat, and you brought up Quentin Post, but also Al Horford, who's starting tonight, Devon, both stretch bigs. And so if we look at Drummond specifically, his ability or inability perhaps to have to cover the 3-point line to the rim and how they match that up and how he handles that is going to be a big factor in how they defend Golden State tonight. So we'll see how that goes. But to your point about Drum, his job is go out there, leverage your advantages in terms of size, strength, kill them on the glass, then kind of same thing on the offensive glass, and punish these guys. Like, make them feel it for playing small tonight.
To your point, Draymond is shooting 37% when he's on the floor without Curry. Now, he's only shooting 41.5% on the season, so it's not like he's playing all that great at any point, but he is certainly struggling to score even more so without Curry there. And, to your point on the keys to defending the Warriors, I think it's much more just don't turn the ball over and don't give up offensive rebounds. Like, don't give them second chance points. Don't let them get out on the break, because if you confine it to a half-court game, you should be fine.
And also, even though we were the ones talking about them getting off to a nice start against the Clippers, get off to a nice start tonight, and that might be able to help set the tone against this Warriors team that, with all the conversation that's going on, some of those guys don't know if they're going to be in that locker room. So maybe they're also looking over their shoulders a little bit just because of all the Giannis conversation and Draymond Green, as Kyle, you mentioned, some of the others worried about if they might be on the move. Sometimes with those games, guys we talk about Drummond as the veteran player that he is, but some of those younger ones that have never been in this position, they might start looking over their shoulders in general and wondering what's going on, and the game gets away from them. All right, let's take our break here on the show. When we come back, we got to talk about all the deals that went down today. What was it, 4 trades that we have to talk about today?
A lot of players. That's all I know, Devon.
A lot of players, a few unexpected. And how will they impact the Sixers? Yes, we will talk about it much, much more tomorrow at 3 p.m. on our show. But we can't ignore it here tonight because it's too big and everybody's in there talking about Kuminga. Can you take on and absorb his contract? So when we come back, we'll get into the moves of the day, what it might mean for the Sixers. It's the PHLY Sixers pregame show. Back-to-back. Can they win their 5th straight? We're talking about it here on the PHLY Sixers pregame.
And guys, we want to tell you about Xfinity, specifically their 5-year price guarantee. Because what if you could have reliable and intelligent Wi-Fi? And what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years? That's the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Imagine Wi-Fi that makes everything in your home work together, that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them, like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a 6th sense. And that lets you stream the game even when the whole family's online. All your devices working in perfect harmony for 5 whole years. And here's the best part. There are no annual contracts, no hidden fees, and Xfinity's best equipment included. Take it from us, a lot can change in 5 years. In James Harden terms, that's about 3 different teams. Championships are won, records are broken, dreams grow bigger, but your Wi-Fi, it should stay reliable, and the price should stay put. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities with Xfinity. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Select plans only, restrictions apply.
And we got to tell you about our presenting sponsor on the show, Bet365, whatever the moment's never ordinary. At Bet365, over 90 million users worldwide and over 788,000 events streamed each year on Bet365, the app right there. Early payouts in the NBA and the NHL. And man, if you had some early payouts in some of these games like Los Angeles and Brooklyn, New York, taking on, I don't even remember. I was just watching it and they were destroying that team. And it was a big blowout. That's how bad it was for Washington. So if you had those, you got an early payout at Bet365. And I hope if you did put together the same game parlay, you use the 30% profit boost there. That's available for you tonight. Well, if you didn't, you got 2 more games to go. Philadelphia taking on Golden State, as we talked about, and Phoenix in Portland. All at Bet365. Use that 30% profit boost. New customers, if you're just wanting to jump in and get some action here, $200. That's exactly. You're like, $200. Yes, $200 credited to your account in bonus bets, win or lose. All you have to do is deposit $10, place a bet for $5, and you get $200 in bonus bets at Bet365. Use code PHLY365. Bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more, all at Bet365. Must be 21 plus, physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers pregame show. Like and subscribe to the show. Leave a comment as well. We appreciate all the interaction here. And after the game, as soon as the game ends, go ahead and check out allphly.com to read Kyle's instant observations. And right now available at allphly.com, the trade deadline primer for the Philadelphia 76ers. And some things went down, Kyle, today as we talk about the moves. Let's just start with the one that we addressed as we were signing off last night, playing the Los Angeles Clippers. James Harden not in the lineup for the second consecutive game. Personal reasons, it was deemed. And we were a little like, personal reasons. He was in Arizona State. He looked all right. Even today, with whatever new moneymaker he has, he was on social media promoting that, looking like everything was all good. And then tonight, he's traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers. As the story reported yesterday, the Clippers trading James Harden to Cleveland for Darius Garland and a second-round pick. So James Harden gets what he wants again, and Darius Garland gets a fresh start with a team that's playing really well. Going out west.
He got what he wanted in the sense that he's no longer on a team that didn't want to pay him. I still remain skeptical. James Harden wants to be in Ohio. It's still a
well, that part I agree. I just mean out of Los Angeles because he didn't get his contract and an opportunity to get whatever money that he wanted. He had to waive his, I believe, 2.5 trade kicker, 2.5 million trade kicker. But the deal happened. We talked about it last night. What are your thoughts as we are able to sit on this deal from last night till it actually happened?
Well, my first thought is I would love to be in a position in life where I could waive a $2.5 million trade kicker to get what I wanted and not feel too bad about it. My second thought is more about the Cleveland side of this, in that they must just think that Darius Garland will never be healthy, because it's tough to, and I like James Harden. I think he gets a bad rap in some ways, but when some of the justification is they're trying to make a win now push to win a title with Donovan Mitchell because they have to convince him to stay, and the guy that you're making the win now push with is a guy who has one of the most checkered playoff resumes in recent NBA history among star players, that's a little incongruent to me. So I read between the tea leaves. You talk to people, and frankly, you just look at the games played, the frequent injuries that Darius Garland has had, and you say they just don't trust this guy to stay healthy. And so that being the case,
two big toes that are problematic for him. Yeah.
And like he had a broken jaw a couple years ago. Like he's dealt with all kinds of things, not all of them necessarily related. He's also just small, like physically small. And so I think they look at all that and say, what are the odds that this is going to improve? And what are the odds that we can trust this guy to be ready to go in the playoffs with real pressure for us to win, to convince Donovan Mitchell to stay? Because Donovan Mitchell's playing at like top 10 player in the league type level once again this year, like putting up crazy numbers as we've talked about. So I get it from that perspective. I think it's a bit of a shame they had to give up Garland to, I've said to you guys, I really enjoy watching him play, especially the in-person experience. Watching Darius Garland is much better than I think a lot of people would guess. Like just a very aesthetically pleasing player who can shoot it, play make, like has great vision, has a good handle, but they just are getting out of that business. So you could have done worse, and we'll see how the Harden-Mitchell combination fares. I am kind of curious if there's still another move in there. It almost feels like there's got to be one more domino to fall here. I just don't know what it is exactly.
So some of the reports were moving off of Lonzo Ball because you picked up Schroeder and Keon Ellis. Are they moving off of his $10 million as another play? And our buddy Jake Fisher said that doesn't look like Cleveland is done. So we'll see what's next for them. Derek, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if my thoughts have changed too much since we spoke last night. It is a shame, like, with how quickly things have deteriorated with Garland. And I don't really think it's too much about the play, although clearly they're underperforming this year. I think they just don't trust him to be healthy, and James Harden has, fewer years on his contract. I think that is going to be a big part of it. I do think in the short term, I'm intrigued to see how well Harden and Mitchell can play off of each other. Like, one of the great things about Mitchell is I think he's going to be a really good fit next to Harden. But man, you are getting older. Like Kyle mentioned, you're getting a very checkered playoff history, and you're getting a player who's disgruntled about his contract. Those aren't necessarily great things that you would want to target in a pretty sizable trade. And this is a core that, look, I know Cleveland hasn't had anywhere near the playoff success that most would want, and certainly they have struggled here in the regular season this year. But that was a core that was putting up some pretty good regular season win totals, and to see it deteriorate this quickly is a little surprising. I like it from the Clippers' perspective. Like, buy low on a guy who was a really, really good basketball player, who's, quite frankly, a lot of these injuries have been pretty fluky, I would say, and see whether or not he can figure out a way to get back, especially for a guy in James Harden who you had no interest in giving a extension to, and who, wanted that extension. So I like it from their perspective. I understand it from Cleveland's perspective, but it just sucks giving up a player who was, what is Garland, 25, 26?
26, I believe. I'd have to double check, but
selling on him when it feels like it's at his low point value-wise this early in his career is tough to stomach.
All right, let's move to the big one, quite frankly, from today that shocked a lot of people. Memphis trading Jaren Jackson Jr. Not necessarily that it was a shock that he was going to get traded, just that, was it before Ja Morant or after Ja Morant? Where would he go? Who was going to pay for him? What is the return? Well, he, John Conchar, Jock Landale, and Vince Williams to Utah for Walter Clayton Jr., the rookie, Kyle Anderson, Taylor Hendricks hasn't worked out there, and friend of the show, George Niang, plus 3 first-round picks, future first-round picks, 2 in 2027, 1 in 2031. Derek, shocked?
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised. I know that obviously Memphis has been looking to blow it up, but I thought you trade 2 out of 3. You trade Bane, obviously, last year, and then you come out and maybe trade Ja and use Jaren as the one to build around. He's still really young. He's obviously got a very unique skill set that is easy to build around. I was a little surprised, and obviously he's got some warts. Like, he's a defensive player of the year caliber defender, but if you don't get the rebound after getting that stop, it limits that a little bit. But even still, just the sheer uniqueness of his skill set, the real, I hate this phrase, but the unicorn nature of it, I think it really does make building a team a lot easier when you can both stretch the floor and protect the rim like that, and when you're a versatile defender like that. I'm a little surprised. Like I said, I thought he might be the one of the 3 that they keep. I understand that there has been a lot of, again, disappointment, and expensive disappointment tends to lead to massive changes. But I like that move quite a bit for the Jazz. I think that's a good player to target, and the cost was high, but they had a lot of picks to dangle.
The only thing I don't get on the Utah side, other than they felt this opportunity wouldn't be there later, is why now? Because their pick is what I believe it's got to be top 8 or they lose it. And this is a really high level draft at the top. And they've been pretty selective with playing Markkanen this year, depending on who the opponent is. But now, like, you have a lot of guys between Jaren Jackson, Markkanen, Keontae George, who are win now type of players. Are you going to be able to, thread that needle, so to speak, to be bad enough to keep your pick without just committing active sabotage during the season? Now, maybe these guys are on board. You tell Jaren Jackson, like, hey, you're not going to play the final however many games and come back fresh as a daisy next year. But that was the only interesting thing about it to me that I couldn't quite wrap my head around. I get, like, you have this opportunity, you feel it's the right price, you go and get the player. But it is a potential complicating factor for a team that I think would really love to get potentially the kid playing at BYU, for example, on your basketball team. Although, maybe now that they have Jaren Jackson, it is more of the focus on winning now. So we'll see on that front.
And to Kyle's point, they currently have the 6th worst record in the league, so right on that bubble.
Yeah. Kyle, I'll stay with you on this one. Another one, Boston. In the beginning of the year, it was more of, we'll trade Anthony Simons because we're not going to be good and we're going to be in that lottery that you talk about for these players. Instead, they're in the top 3 in the Eastern Conference, and there's rumors, like big-time rumors, that Jason Tatum might actually be back. And since they're in it, hey, might as well shift our thinking a little bit, and they go get Nick Vucevic to play the center position, where they ship out Anthony Simons and a 2nd-round pick to the Chicago Bulls. We'll get to the Bulls a little bit later as well. But Your thoughts when you saw this one go down for the Boston Celtics and the Bulls. Nick Vucevic now man in the middle for Joe Mazzulla.
I had two thoughts. I was like, I don't know that makes them better. And then I was like, but they're the Celtics and everything works out for them always. So I just assume Nick Vucevic will shoot 45% from three. And if the Sixers play them in a playoff series, 55% from three. And it'll be one of those where, so like, I get it. They've been searching for front court help. Simons is not someone they particularly needed, although he's had a very good season there as a bench weapon. I don't feel that strongly one way or another about this one. I would say that.
I mean, I will just congratulate Boston for continuing to trim their luxury tax bill, because I think that's the primary reason for this trade. They have done an incredible job here since the summer of taking that down since the Tatum injury, and they continue to do that with this trade. And I think that is, like I said, the primary reason. Vucevic, look, he is a Andre Drummond level defender, and I don't mean that in a good way at all. He's one of the worst rim protectors in the league. Obviously, he adds a lot more value than Drummond on offense. I'm not trying to compare them overall as players, but in terms of having someone that you can pick on in the playoffs, if that's a first round matchup for the Sixers, I would not be scared at all. Not from Vucevic. Like I respect the heck out of them as a team, obviously, but Vucevic doesn't change that for me.
Like Kyle said, he'll average 25 against the Sixers.
Probably.
Just one of those stupid Boston Celtics things.
Yeah, absolutely. Finally, Chicago, Minnesota, Detroit, multi-team deal. Jaden Ivey and Mike Conley going to Chicago. So now a ton of guards in Chicago. Kevin Huerter, Dario Saric to the Pistons. And Detroit also receives a 26th first-round protected swap from Minnesota. So Ivey, it wasn't just Monty Williams where it didn't work out there in Detroit. It just didn't work out in Detroit. And now he's on the move to Chicago. Fresh start for him. Mike Conley, it looks like he's not going to be long for Chicago. Mike Conley as the vet, and with that, Minnesota and maybe some moves there as they try to empty some space for Giannis as a return. So, look, we'll talk more about that in the postgame. We'll certainly talk about it tomorrow at 3 p.m. with all these moves. What's the impact for the Sixers? But we got to let all of you go and let us go so we can get ready for the game. Let's get to the pregame picks, Bree. Presented by Bet365, whatever the moment's never ordinary at Bet365. Last night, Bree did pretty well with hers. 10 points for Jared McCain, plus 190. I went with Kelly Oubre, 15 points. Moses Moody with 2 threes on the other side. That's a plus 130. If you'd like to combine those, everyone, use your 30% profit boost there at Bet365 for a same-game parlay for the Sixers.
Didn't Bree have Joel at 30-plus points?
Yeah, I was going to say, let's not give Bree too much credit.
If you don't hit, you don't get credit for 2 out of 3.
Yeah, that's.
I like their selection.
We're not an almost won a parlay type of show on here.
She had the money. She had the money line. She got that. She had Maxey 4 plus 3. She got that. But this is meatloaf. 2 out of 3 is bad.
I don't like it. I'm giving her credit. So Bet365, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Go ahead and place your wagers. Make sure you sign up using code PHLY365. All right, gang. We'll be back 10 minutes after the game goes final tonight, everyone. Make sure you're back with us. We thank everybody for hanging with us last night. Nice win. Let's do it again. Nice win against Golden State. We'll be back to talk about it. For Derek, Kyle, and Bree, I'm Devon. Hope to see you all after the game right here, PHLY Sixers postgame show. Enjoy.
We all silly like the man.